The Influence by Shannon, Ochoa. This is a look at how the influence of the Beatles have spanned generations and genres. Since the Beatles burst upon the scene in 1962, there have been hundreds, possibly thousands of musicians that credit the Beatles with their influence for the love of music. Even musicians that are not even in the same genre say the Beatles influenced them to make their own music. Keith Urban, for instance, is a huge Beatles fan. He has been quoted as saying that She's Leaving Home is his absolute favorite Beatles song of all time. Dave Grohl, former drummer for Nirvana and frontman for the Foo Fighters, is quoted as saying, "When I was young, that's how I learned how to play music. I had a guitar and a Beatles songbook." He said he never had a teacher, he just had Beatles records. The late frontman for Nirvana, Kurt Cobain, also says the Beatles had a big influence on his music. The Beatles have also influenced the lead singer of Led Zeppelin, Robert Plant. It is said that the breakup of the Beatles is what influenced the writing for Stairway to Heaven. Heavy metal is not a genre that people usually associate with the Beatles. However, there are a great number of bands who credit the Beatles' influence. From Black Sabbath and Judas Priest to more modern heavy metal of Metallica, the Beatles played a big part musically. Ozzy Osbourne was quoted as saying, "Sometimes people wonder how exactly the Beatles inspired Black Sabbath. But they inspired me to keep dreaming, and those dreams haven't gone to waste, because I get letters from Paul McCartney now." A more modern rock band is Green Day. Billie Joe Armstrong is a huge Beatles fan and covers Hey Jude at their concerts, more often than not. All of the bands mentioned are just a very small percentage of musicians that have been influenced by the Beatles. All of them are great in their own right, but one thing is for certain, the Beatles have not been a band for 43 years. However, their music will live on forever and continue to be an influence for generations to come.